前面前边王波江边铁波马列中间看见开边左肩中高路上长边下了说话面面这边的渐渐的前面前边王波江边铁波马列中间上面看见开边左肩中高路上长说话的帮的这边喇嘛人波他说几乎人变的天学高的前边国内结束故松途径为主最多帮的这边喇嘛人波他说宁可人变的天学高的前边国内结束恰当推蒙为主最多帮的这边喇嘛人波他说宁可人变的高的前边国内结束常住宁边的门入马上就没写上报日马街芒果南给我说说让你一些句六尊也长子路的要他高的高的巴拉高的巴拉三个不的也说好的要他高的高的巴拉高巴拉三个的不的也说好的要他高的高的巴拉三个不的也说好给了东张家族希望面对你别天帮助心别说错就念扎西点的就有啥些别
特别学3年被公路上是什么东西3单3本学。
Let me remind every one of ourselves to take a moment and cultivate the highest form of motivation. We call it bodhicitta motivation or the altruistic motivation, seeking complete enlightenment for the sake of all other sentient beings. So with that kind of at least contrite bodhicitta altruistic motivation, we should participate in this Bodhisattva's discourse on the wisdom gone beyond.
我对他寻思的这个，可是东西下的，他可是学的了，学考虑的，说了工作比个上班的这些的，什么东西你说我听那么些意思，我听么些的。
Just to remind you what we are dealing with based on this guide of Bodhisattva Way of Life by Bodhisattva Master Shantideva, that when it comes to realities, we may be able to classify them into two types. One is more like conventional reality, relatively speaking, that we could access it more easily. And it's also called deceptive truth, Kunzop, Samvriti Satya in Sanskrit. Then there is another level of reality or truth, we call it ultimate reality or Pramartha Satya, which is concealed from our ordinary perceptions.
你把东西说刚不注意的是这样，西碰所见的全东西，这是定住高山长木高呗，东西多呗，跑上空吧呢，修建点着的这边，我跑上帮就行，天的修业，里面讲两边这么这样没这，这样的话呢，得到到吧空白，你里面根本你里面你两边怎么这样？修建点金方呗是，被7年帮完就了，这就这样是，倘不那个。高级修行一定的，高家让我怎搞吧伊呢？他从高家长木嘛个呗，现在把7年搞过吧，7年搞吧呢？这搞呗，里面两把怎么样？他们马路把那么马路把，我民主的学生也没到位，就听一见的，听不完全的，跑上的，听嘛他写的，这个东西到位，到我点了爸爸。电子帮助的是帮助，这点呢，他那这点冷空吧，娘是冷吧了，电呢，电子帮助其他写的，看个这学生用我看是两把这把有的没，日本这把那两把这把蛮一많이 배, 저거 많이 배, 매도 시, 예벌 때, 그때, 다시 뭐, 연주 지금 맥스는 말이, 미미바 데메도 또봐, 뒤에, 연병거 보면 신이 돼, 연주장, shunyi de dendro jani, den shuje dendro ranchewa, seme yesin je loti, dune ngona sheda nede, shuje de shunyi mesi jeng, shunyi de deme to, shunyi ni de dendro demba java yuna, den shuje de ranshin de chogola, di shuje dendro mane ribe kikbichir, dene ngobo demba majabana, ngome donye demba maes, demba be deme be jeso, dena kanga tse ngobo shuje dendro da, ngome shuje deme to yi, dendro ta di kona nila shuje gi, loyen dina neba teze, mineba teze, ngobo dendro da, ngome dendro, nikale shenbe se, dendro ge nama pungsumba, shen kanya lola shaji mebe na, shu kanya rikbe che sudu, choba da, mikba denshen ju sunga tar, teso pewa, yu zangya meba, baba na, mide ji, choba ta da shewa ra, rabdi shewa shedo, shewa ino se, Otisa, kaje da, shu gangal ya tejas, kuzo pipiga nizu jigda, nizu chara nyi yaris. Otipel shu gangal chibara da, gansu binti kare na, chala da goba kare na, korang rangshi, tonga zamgi hako ya jigda, ya hama kwa bizi, ko yonde shilu ro, jong shilu ro, iti shika ya, shina kali shiya kwa, shisa, cheju ni tokala mangbo yorwa. O dina yini chö tamjil kunzo ge nizu lamsa to ya chikda. Ya tonda bendi tu ya takshi shida toka nyi yoris. O chida di dozi bonsh to ni. Ini chö jen di deba meba to hundi zana. Ini di chö yin di deba meba nyam to to mato. Yang chö yin deba mato los dogo ya di goya ma resi warta.
So we are on page 146 of Stephen Batchelor's translation of the guide, and I think Geshe-la's reading of the commentary and starting to explain pertains to stanzas 33 and 34. They are going to go together. Yeah. So as Geshe-la explained, so we have two types of realities, as we stated earlier. There is conventional reality in Tibetan, or deceptive reality, and on that level, sometimes we can easily access the reality through our visual perception, auditory perception, and other things, isn't it? But on the other hand, at a deeper level, or at another level, we call ultimate level or Paramartha Satya, there is the ultimate truth of reality which is inaccessible to ordinary perceptions. So in terms of reality, some are easier to understand and access, and others are more difficult to understand. So when we establish any phenomenon, we can call it object or the topic, as being empty of true existence or intrinsic existence, then we also come to see that the emptiness of that reality is also empty of true existence. There is no such thing that the phenomenon itself is empty of true existence, but its emptiness is not, right? Okay. Yeah.
What is it? Shuje deme to the shuni gonna deme to nyam to rulis. So the Bodhisattva shuje deme to yang yo shuni deme to the yoga maris is or what is your da. Joying is then the shuni deme jang deba jiang me she then a funny, Teta Koma Kumbeni, Teta Toba Kumbeni. Demi ni demba zeba teya 确定了连接帮被7年是不完全如是，是这把和第就这样，他们呢是刚是确定一定的，刚是日本搞不到人呢，搞不赢呢，他从刚才他们某个被等到7年搞过吧，越讲。但确定一定的每个他也想上，明白也把搞下那些确定，对面的到位，最低一呢，不完全的，他妈的切东西，我这搞些，确实对面做的到对面可能对面搞些，东西来啊，东把你下去了，我这下到什么的样。东西多少样东把你样叫这个呀，这要么是可是新加坡的，看看我是第到第10的东西是，确实对面多少呢？今天确实可能老个小的这，就这他讲的话，确实的对面多什么都是，你现在确实啥玩意儿的对面这样，日本老是过我这要么是我这说的个。
So once through reasoning and analysis, we established a phenomenon, Gyeltsen, whatever the phenomenon under investigation, as being empty of true existence, intrinsic existence, then we do not need to use analysis and reasoning over again to understand the emptiness of that reality is also empty of true existence, and that's because a phenomenon and its emptiness are correlated, or they are interdependent on each other. It's not possible for a phenomenon to be empty of true existence, but not the emptiness that's dependent on it, right? And so as a great Indian master, Acharya, Aryadeva, in his 4 stanzas on the middle way, Chadukshadak Shigyaba in Tibetan, stated that if you realize emptiness of a phenomenon through analysis and reasoning, it's just a matter of refocusing your mind on any other phenomenon, and you can realize the emptiness of that phenomenon. You don't have to over and again, so to speak, reinvent the wheel and then analyze and then reason to understand the emptiness of other phenomena, right? So in other words, that once we establish the emptiness of a phenomenon, right, then by bringing to our mind the same reason, we can understand that the emptiness of that phenomenon, where we talk about emptiness of emptiness, is also empty of true existence. Okay?
What is it?这就这样是，当我呢，搞这学习一点的是，搞这学习一点的搞这，让把怎么搞不赢呢？他都搞这什么个呗？等着7年搞过吧，越讲，这学习一点的，每个他也就下把什么，明白也把搞这的些呢，搞吧呢？这搞呗的对面。Depan sembahyang, lama malu bar, lama malu bar minjurde, lama luba minjurde mira. Migi sheshe dentro do tobe, tui tingi ne, bon jurde, der timata shedo was. Oti dai, kaje demi ten betu da. Tambo sheshe deme chebden pap yangja yang deme kona deme den pap dire rimba ni go ma riso ta kaji sheshe deme den pap ta rang sheni kona deme den pap yamzo shi du go ma do ati gaja chamo ka yin ga ga ki du ri she da de dong yi dong de zan yo de mo zu gun ba shue ne yang pe de me da wo do na shue ji me da wo do na shue da ji me da dong wei lo ga shun dong wei chang ba ba 그 쇼거는 조다카가 여자 메다바 유전도 카카가 여자 디 지도 다디 슈인사가 내루서 가 내루 돌리 가가 베 집어지겨 chepa yomarako, dashi dushi dimashi, rangshi tongpa kora chepa me yinza, ene wadi chik tongni chik shuye gagata do tobi resi warda.
So, in other words, that once we precisely identify the object of negation or object of refutation called gaksha, right, on a phenomenon, and then establish that phenomenon as being empty of true existence, intrinsic existence through analysis reasoning, but the extension of the same analysis reasoning, we can also understand that the emptiness of that, right, emptiness is also empty of true existence. We do not have to, again, reuse the analysis and the reasoning to establish the emptiness of emptiness as being empty of something. Okay, so as Geshe said, this is because emptiness of phenomena is just the same. There's no variation, right? Emptiness of one phenomenon is the same as the emptiness of all other phenomena. That's why once through analysis and reasoning, you establish the emptiness and realize emptiness, that one phenomenon, but the extension of the logic, you will also realize the emptiness there. But that's not the case with understanding conventional realities, isn't it? Right? If we through analysis and reasoning understand that a phenomenon is an impermanent, right, based upon some reasoning. Now, if we change the topic or the phenomenon, another phenomenon as impermanent, there could be other reasons why that phenomenon is so different and read other reasons, right, to understand. So one reason might not apply to all other impermanent phenomena. It's possible, isn't it? But that's not the case with emptiness, right? Emptiness is just the same of every existence. So once you get one thing right, then you can realize the emptiness of all other. It's a matter of refocusing and bringing to the mind the same power of the reasoning. No, sir. No, sir.
Nibate, Kete, Tajago, the Le Mamibar, they made the Toba Tite, the Bengobo Baby, Shuni, 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 the Doja, Johnny, then Shuji, the Dota Chewa, Seming, Sinji, Loti, Duna, Gunas. Shedaniades, Shujendang, Cherry, Shuni, Missijang, Shuni, Dendon, Dembertrova, Yuna, then Shujin, the Ranshi, the Togona, then Shujin, Dendo, Mane, Carves, Kissing Bichel, then Ngubo Dimba, Madrobona, Ngumi Tony Dember. Dembara, Dembebe, Dembeje, Dendos, Dembete. So the Chujekora and the Demido, the Don, the Tishui, the Debame, Tarang, in Joto, this is called. Then Chujekora, Debame, the Shui Yanga, Demetria, Yomarcheda, did in the Karsa, the Gagda, the Tara, Yomaris, but the young. Children, don't do see you, what the dog was chick also. And Tinisian Logaposa, Gagato, children tie when I reckon bed children on the Tony Dogomaris, or this or that. The dog on it, and she shall tie about Duzu.
No.
This or that.
So all of this is part of response to earlier the I think Chitamatrins, LS, the Prasankhya mathematicians, your middle way, if it's all phenomena is like an illusion, your middle way is a baloney, because how can it get rid of the grasping, right? And in the footnote, people who missed it here, I said they use that when a magician creates a magical, beautiful lady, he knows this lady is not real, but yet he's still attached to it. So he's an illusion. So if your middle way is like that, it's a baloney, it doesn't do anything. How can it uproot the grasping, right? So in response to that, all of these things, right, we're dealing with that, because that, understanding that an illusory woman is not a real woman is not emptiness, right? So they miss the whole point, right? In order to realize emptiness, we have to precisely identify the subtlest object of negation. Yeah? So in terms of object negation, sometimes we have different levels, isn't it? That certain kind of object negation is on a grosser level, but realizing that kind of emptiness, sort of emptiness of some kind, you really haven't realized the emptiness, because you have to get rid of the subtlest object of negation, right? But once you have gotten rid of the subtlest object of negation, realize emptiness, then you could refocus on other phenomena and realize that emptiness, because emptiness, after all, is the same everywhere. So as part of that analysis, what we're saying is that if, hypothetically speaking, a phenomenon were to be truly existent, intrinsically existent, right, if that's what it is, then we put it under microscopic analysis and reasoning, right, we should be able to find it, that something exists truly and intrinsically, isn't it? But at the end of the analysis, we don't find anything existing that right. So that absence of a true existence, that's what the emptiness is, So as Geshe explained, that unlike conventional realities, where we might have to use different perspectives, reasonings to establish, right, the things as impermanent, but in terms of emptiness, right, we don't have to do that. If we have to really use over and again different reasonings to establish emptiness, objects of knowledge and phenomena are just innumerable. Then we will never end up realizing the emptiness. Because at every emptiness, we have to use reasoning. Every emptiness, we have to find different reasoning. And that's an impossible task, right? But the good news is we don't have to do that. Okay. Right.
我就是我在现在东西都是这种修工作修到的这都是这电子切换工作修的了，可能出去之后就变成手机嘛，一般说手术出去看的这个下呢，像没大把之后的都是电子切换药了，但是东西现在刚才这块车上在现在这个缺这个的东西多少呢？缺刚才的东西老不给，缺些可能老差这，现在手术切换现在到处什么东西。 要求学习人这个送的呀，你们这边这个各个嘛的喜欢的喜欢，但是那里的。
So the bottom line is this, as we stated a few times earlier, that unlike conventional realities, because conventional realities are very diverse, isn't it? Even if we think with what we call visible forms, they are not of the same kind, right? The ghost one, different structures, different shapes, different forms. And now we go with the sound. Well, that's nothing at all similar to the form. And then the smell, that's all very different. So we might have to use different reasons to understand and access those realities. But that's not the case with emptiness, right? Emptiness, once we identify the subtle subject negation and then we establish emptiness through reason analysis, that is good enough. Once you realize it, it's a matter of refocusing on other phenomena, and then you realize the emptiness of other phenomena.
我这时候看见，可联邦出生的样本呢，可能这个样本他的挺如果了学习人，现在去他的出生的。 人民同行的，各部东西人民同行的，是吧？这个就能，他在对面这个是按照确定的学习上的，当然没有些，这个上也是按这个吧，是吧？现在就是联邦这边这个呢，他的对面这联邦这边他的呢人民同行，他的，我的这边看你都是 타신 까니 세다 그거서 내면 또 주고 주야지 내가 리바 타도 저기 내가 저기 내가 가는데 맞아 인자 얘는 거 내가 처음 좋지 그 내가 처음 책 내가 가는 저거 그래시 어디 다 책도 저나네 최대 신이 책도 저기 정말 없는 까부나 최대의 신이 레벨에 저기 제가 드레스에 타신 까 어디서 얘네 가서 데리스 거기 가서 최대의 신이야 내가 먼저 찍어지경 뭐 이제 드레야 최대의 먼저 신이 내가 먼저 세워 드레께서 용어리스 어디서 다
So we use different types of analysis and reasonings to establish emptiness of a phenomenon. But one of the ones that we use is we call the reasoning of singularity and plurality, or reasoning of one and many. I don't know, those are the translations we do in English, right? Chicken tade. So what we are saying, assumption is that, hypothetically speaking, if a phenomenon were to exist truly or intrinsically, right, hypothetically speaking, let's assume that, right, it would have to exist as either a single phenomenon, singular phenomenon one, or it would have to exist as plural phenomena or multiple phenomena. Because, you know, that's the way things are. Either it has to be one, it has to be many, right? There's no third option here. So when we think of that reasoning and we think of a phenomenon and its emptiness, right? If they are truly existent, are they truly existent one, or are they truly existent different, many, isn't it? If they are truly existent one, then they're completely identical, isn't it? We cannot separate the phenomenon from its own emptiness, right? Even we cannot say one is conventional and one is ultimate, because either they both have to be conventional, they both have the ultimate, right? But if they are truly existent different, then that would be very unrelated. Looks like they have nothing to do with each other, as unrelated as we are fond of saying a pillar and a vase. A pillar and a vase are independent of each other. They have nothing to do with each other, right? So when we analyze, hypothetically speaking, if a phenomenon were to exist truly intrinsically, why? Now do we say, do they exist as truly existent one, they meaning that phenomenon is emptiness, or do they exist as being different entity? So we don't find it to exist in either way. So the conclusion is that true existence is not findable, right? It's not right. That nothing exists truly. So this is one big reasoning used to establish emptiness.
Tawa gomba yola sono di capso di ringe tabu capso di ringe tabu fisil tawa tobe nishi jun taru gomju du maso he shela jolun chene zam taje ye nelu tadu la hila sunu这位是国生国乐，两百下呢，国女将。他都要与东西当与今一些影响，讲些的那位是，你那越位是，你那全部忙到呗，东西我是到把些没学多是，真的就那么些日本。你能吃着送的，有的有些弱就的，这吧，你能吃么怎么样，对吧？东西我是到把等，通通他把些下午，这个东西头上一点了怕呢，几万个到把月呗，东西到我是到美国说是，我听着看见。东西都是在那新浪花到光现在东西到的多的， 现在东西的有一些阳性这的，别去到我们这边呢，一直到这个嘛的是。现在空前呢，从小这人家那从头开始，是交通开始其他手里头了，这到那有些就别俺阳性的凶手着的，今天也从东西我说到就是咱了，有的有些去到我们去这个那些说是没娘下个，别再就娘把些是我的东西我说到把的用过的是，我这把的呢，推送到我这里呀，去到我们这个的用我阳性的到这个的，现在靠空的咱，我是那样我就透过的是我的是我是。
So before we have what we call calm abiding and special insight union pertaining to emptiness, right? It is possible that we could understand emptiness, or we could even realize emptiness, but only inferentially, isn't it? So how it all starts is that through listening or study and contemplation, right? And we are able to intellectually and conceptually understand what emptiness is. But that understanding is very dualistic, isn't it? So, which means dualistic means that we, there is a dualism of subject and object, isn't it? The realization of emptiness, perception is here, but emptiness as if it's there. So there's two things there, right? We could not have the non-duality. So through study and contemplation, meditation, we try to establish emptiness correctly, and then we think about it. So we could inferentially, through Cheba, understand or realize emptiness. But still, there's a very dualistic one. And so on the path of preparation, Jolam, that's the second path, right? Solam is the first one, footnote. It has 4 levels, right? The level of heat and so forth, supramundane level. On the heat level of the path of preparation, we have the calm abiding shamatha and special insight vipassana in unity together, right? That has arisen through meditation. Okay? So that time, we realize emptiness deeply, but still is very dualistic, isn't it? So on the 4 levels of path of preparation, the dualistic appearance become more subtle. So we are removing as if the layers of this subtle dualism, isn't it? So that means even on the path of preparation, although we have realized emptiness through calm abiding and special insight, we have to continue our meditation and familiarize our mind continuously with emptiness realization. It's on the path of seeing, darshan mark, thonglam, that we are able to non-conceptually or directly realize emptiness. So at that time, when we are in the state of meditative equipoise on emptiness, nyamsha, right, complete absorbed meditation, that's the time there is no more dualism, isn't it? That our non-conceptual perception or realization emptiness is just as if we say that the water and milk is mixed together. You cannot separate it, isn't it? So until the path of seeing, that we still, right, have to deal with dualistic appearance and try to remove it, right, through our meditation practice there.
What is it? 东西的阳性那都别搞的，去的我们这边的都有的有些阳性那些，那空的呀，从事情，他的去的我们这边那些，通路套子，那都有的有些一边，看没呗，去的我们这边的送，他的那些的时候，东西我送到这个意思，这东北到的东西的有的有些，把入东北说是全部是。这story， 我说到的真，和有的有些的学过，有些的有的学过那些道的，我第一个东西开发出来什么的，行，我家里东北东西都要的，都的时候，咱可以是，东西我说都要的么，东北都要的要么，东北刚刚帮下来下去了，这个什么着。
So the contention that is being met here is that realization of emptiness can be inferential or it can be non-conceptual, right? That's very important. Of course, to get to the non-conceptual part is a whole process we have to go through. Why this kind of a contention is made is that, certain schools of thought, they think that every conceptual thought are to be gotten rid of. They're no good, right? So then they don't accept that conceptually realizing emptiness is possible, or even that's counted, right? So that's why here the Prasangika Madhyamika is saying that it is possible to have inferential realization, understanding emptiness, which is conceptual. Conceptual in the sense that even though you are correctly realizing emptiness, there's still a gap. The gap is a dualistic gap, isn't it? Which you have to remove, the layers, through meditation and cultivation of practice, isn't it? So once all the layers of conceptuality are removed, then you are on the path of seeing first time. Now you realize emptiness nakedly and non-conceptually, directly, isn't it? So why is this non-conceptual? Now there is no more gap between subject and object. It is as if they have fused together, isn't it? It's like the milk and water are mixed, and now you can't separate it. You know what I mean? So that's important to be kept in the mind, how we can progress from inferential valid understanding to the direct non-conceptual realization of emptiness.
What is your Dakarsa? Don't do the she said, Dakanche. Tobe don't do that. Mosu to the Keva, the Chido Majibu, the Yangse to the Yoris. It don't. She said, Mosu don't Mosu to Marzini. To this year, you go and Hilas on Rishin or to Congress at this year. That don't you Mosu to Papa Loba Yamia or Nina Trevor Junse Jamela. Sanje Sadi Nina Trevor number Kundi Mede. The Zinki number of the Cheve, Simpson Juata, the Tendu Gavishers, Sanje Sad Musum, Shutaji, Ladi Jurata Havana, Serious, Topa no Tretan, Sanje Sana, and Tretan. Lovek Negaso, I told you also top, the Otonji top of the Yari. Sanje Sad Rayamaris, Yamshada. And Jesus Yamji watching the Rosgoro. Kadina, the English the Toto Kashi with the Shawaris. Loven de Casa, Kusta de Mato Loti, Toto de Mato, Toto de Mato Loti, Kusta de Mato, yeah, Renjo Doris. Sajin, the English the Chisha Dos, what it Doris.
So on the path of trainees, right? My footnote from the path of accumulation all the way to the path of meditation, okay? No more learning, right? Path of the trainees, that it is possible to realize emptiness, of course, inferentially and then non-conceptually. But what's happening is that Aryas, transcendental beings, meaning those who have gained direct insight to emptiness, right? That's the definition, footnote. When they are in the absorbed meditative state called meditative equipoise or nyamsha, except emptiness, nothing exists for their mind or the perception, isn't it? So they have a non-dualistic experience of emptiness, perception. Once they come out of that absorbed meditation, in the post-meditation period, now they could see the dualistic perception. So they alternate between, isn't it? You go into deep meditation, non-dualistic for the Aryas. When you come out of deep meditation, you have a dualistic. Okay? But that's not the case with fully enlightened beings or Buddhas. Buddhas have no conceptual thoughts. Buddhas, perception of everything is always non-dualistic. So there is no such thing as nyamsha, meditative equipoise, and post-meditation period for enlightened beings. Right? That's huge difference there. So in other words, what we're talking about here is that as long as we are on the path of the trainees, even the Aryas, transcendental beings, they have the alternative experience of the wisdom that realizes emptiness non-conceptually. Then you don't see you don't have the perception of conventionality. And then you come out of that non-dualist experience, now you see the conventionality, now you don't have that, right? They have to alternate between the two, but that's not the case with fully enlightened beings or Buddhas.
Super Pammy Jibus, number Medavi, Hinjon Temple, Nis. 남도 매장 늦지려고 공아 빼다지와 대저 방법 당분이 이시서 강바 중이된 대달 남고발라 때네 지부타도 배 뒤서 나보다 탐지 댄세가 이나 댄세가 이나 상제를 심지어 동시하냐마자 최된바라 샤냠 샤오냐베스 꿈 또버 매라바 매베 최도버서지 고니 심지어 동제와 민주신 대단한 상제에 제 현도 주시와 주르시나스 대다들 대대요 상제 그제 비메르고 나와도 배 될치고 되시고 세가 그 전주로 전수자님에나 심지어 동시고 말았어. 심지어 동마지다 상제에 그거를 간가 또르고 그래서 상제에 그 심지어 동시에 들었어. 상제에 진짜 상제에서 그 배트유토기 배워서를 레도 그래서는 어디 들리는지고 다들 비밀로 주고 뒤배도 제가 얘기했어.
So we're still on the page 146 at the bottom. We haven't discussed yet, but we'll look at stanza 35. And so this is pertaining to what we call the final resultant state, right? The state of enlightenment, right? Earlier what we said, Aryas on the path of trainees, while they're in the state of deep meditation, they see emptiness non-dualistically. When they come out of that meditation, then they see the dualism. But that's not the case with enlightened beings, Buddhas. Right? Buddhas non-conceptually see everything all the time. Right with me? And so Buddha has no conceptual thoughts. Right with me? Buddha does not think like, okay, I want to help him or her. I don't want to do that, right? There's no such conceptual thought. Okay, that's the assumption here. So now the argument that means that like, well, if Buddha has no such thought, cannot think like that, then how can Buddha ever benefit sentient beings, right? That's the argumentation, isn't it? And Buddha worked so hard, somebody worked so hard to be Buddha. Once you become Buddha, then like, now you have no thoughts to help anybody. So how can then they benefit sentient beings? That's the whole idea about Buddhahood. So right, that's the argumentation being laid. Okay, so now we will look at the response, how it is possible Buddha could still benefit sentient beings with looking at examples and like that. Okay,
yeah. 또 남도 면은 제일 중요한 말이 스타디 빼듯이고 남도 면은 저거야 돼. 윤셰버 저렇게는 저면에 빼는 이식이 넣어도 박상 신라세 메다라는 소아다바나 데다가 살아 데다 라 페다버셔 냠비 남보다 매장 라랑 시다데바다이 로용스 고와 티현도 상제 남라양 남도의 배조 매장 상제 테네 최년부 소기 손으로 또 용서 미베 뒤처 노로발람이 내가 탈상제바나 넘버 메도현도 심지어 돈 흐른제징 최이인의 계시자마요 미조라 심전되에 둘레자 메다와 티현도 다 조지체 모노다베 모노자 온게스 두제께와다 잡아 야외 속이거든 나와도 쉬어도면서 용어스 대다양 예래 윤유스 미저와 강다니 강자 셔페기와 대다들 대나무 셰던 죽발이 셰다라 가르사 장게 도신 데바들 계속 송스 데다디 빼드지마세 데 넘버도 메나에 데다 셰도시아 예스 이시노세야 되면서 이시노세야 그 스탑 펜보 속지로 셰다 그 사무로 로요마라디 셰다 퀄리아 소아다다니 소 비비 세디 구드로 가지고 소아다 엔티나 hin중고리스 我听那一上街呢呀，那么多名那个，人甚至说的个别是，那么连上我稍微到底，然后那个老子们学的带考着呀，我的让心的这个甚至到家是不是的话，让心用过，我一些都不得，那么多名呢，人行动里啊。专门的也把要么是，我的一些都白过，但一些都现在全部是收起了，就是快点，人家现在凭什么的，这看看要么的，现在快点那边流动某某主要要了，我的这块的时候的。
So the response to that argumentation is found in the stanza 35, and so it's contended that even though an enlightened being Buddha, has no thoughts or intentions necessarily to benefit others or not, but still Buddha could benefit others spontaneously, right? So how is that possible? So they said here are the examples. A wish-fulfilling jewel, Yishinji Nubu, and a wish-fulfilling tree, right? These are prominent examples in Buddhist literatures. A wish-fulfilling jewel is basically an object. It has no mind, right? And the belief is that if you you worship the wish-fulfilling jewel, and then you most sincerely ask for the fulfillment of your wishes, it can fulfill your wishes, right? And so, although this object has no intention of benefiting you, right, but it does work. So like that, the same with the wish-fulfilling tree. And this is because of the power that enlightened being has over the trainees on the path, right? Always work altruistically for sentient beings and always prayed and dedicated everything for sentient beings. Now, as an enlightened being, in the fruition of that enlightened state, even without thoughts, the benefits, come to sentient beings spontaneously. Okay? So in the case of a wish-fulfilling jewel, basically, one should have created good karmas, and then on the basis of that, you ask the wish-fulfilling jewel that I would like to have these desires, aspirations fulfilled, and then this, the jewel can fulfill your wishes. So exactly like that.
No, the shirt was so young or the damn jelly. You use a major conda near. Conda show pension till the dinner was shed. Juba the cedar, Zangeto and Devati, Husu Sungsa. Yet that may be simply mutual good two young dolly, cedar, Yimashavana. You may pay my kaji that is. 지지직 소양 사모윤지 코나 종스 히에소마타로 다 드레시오나는 상예베 비밀레르 히도시아에는 인심제타지베 찰 깨지르지 남조베 가가 죄주고 말했으나 뒤쪽에 말했지 상예를 퇴야지 심지소소소기야 야지 상예를 쉬어내야 세야 되게 그 니스시아 내를 박자고니 소설 계속 거르면서 소설 계속다니면은 산지 지고들 시작하게 말했어. 근데 사이 지고 샤워하자. 애니데 유미 빼마스데 빼마 카시에서 카시 그러면도 더 먹을 내려오면 그게 샤워다가도 빼마 카시 말어. 어디 심지어서도 줄이야. 애니 그게 탈바들 저 게자밀 산지 그거야 인조 거르면도 이제 산지 퇴위받아 이제 심지어서도 되게 게자밀이나 애니 콜라야 별로 접토고 말이스. 어디 배워야지. 근데 샤파가 거기서 애니 지신가 같이 하고 말아 가지고 제셔도야 지금 이제 제셔만 해도 남자 샤파도 지금 말아. 어디 지고리서 말아.
So so to that the contender of the opponent will say, well, even an enlightened being can spontaneously fulfill the wishes of others, just like your example of wish-fulfilling jewel, then everybody will have easy time, and they don't need to do anything. So why don't enlightened beings do that, Then we said, well, that's not how it works. Enlightened being alone cannot do it all, right? It is the combination of like the enlightened being and the sentient beings have accumulated the merit or the virtues, right? Through the interaction of these two things, things happen. It's not like everything's in the hand of the enlightened being. Then that would be true, as you said, And here are other examples, like say that even if the rain god brings down the rain, right? And if you don't put any seeds in the ground, nothing will grow up, right? And so as the seeds are planted in the soil, the rain god brings the rains through the interaction, then the sprouts happen, right? The vegetation happens. Even when it rains, not every grass grows, like some never grow, So it's a combination. It's not just everything is in the hand of enlightened being.
What is it that 상이 동 나바 못도 거는 현도시야 그 저승 내가서 모는다니 어디 틀어지고 어디 틀어져 본 거죠. 될 뭐뭐 내가 뭐 상승이나 돼야 내내 유ring보 넘비 지부터도 좀 메대지 상승이 뭐를 상제는 좋아야 메대도 셰나스 좀 메디스 어디서 왔다 뭐 가서 뭐 가가다가 비밀들 뭐다 상승이 다디 지불ung조도 가르다 상시 동고는 대태가 말았어. 그 신어디 경요 말이스. 가르서 디패디요 대패인조도. 상시 뭐제 상시 좋아해 메도도 해도 좀 메디 빼나. 창스 프로 샹구 도쿄 시외 난간 안 되게세 슈도 르가지 줍네세 Shantideva Chubadams. Then you remember Soyans, Shudo the Tadayans, Tolos Oba, Shiva, Shendu. Shendu Shanshu Seba Namji, Jang, Namji Lamduso, Shanshu Seba, Shubam Yalela, Jeso, Tumber, Lavne. Garato Yukui, Shugu Dong Juba Yang Juba Shonshu Seba Sikita Nila Menebe Yangan Deva Undu Shene Number Tobatanshi Gajang Dujene Gavdang Tarduke Tonganam 2 times the Bizomeva about Takya Lundup Shibutu say Zeba Jodi Jele, Shetan Zeba Jashi, Sanji Chava Yevachu. Take a Seba baby, Tava he joy. Here songs. This will concept. Kananga should talk good that they took here, Nanga shooting Zaji, or Chams the user. So the Nanga should talk here, Josina. Should do get the Chams the shit and Lobo Kishina. And the Nanga should drop here, the end of the 다가랑 도기야 니바랑자 되고 잠시 매우 that 로케바 조사나다 이제 나 가서 도기야 나가서 쇼도서 조기야 되게 니바다 랑자 되고 도가가 해도 그러지 되나게 상승 가도 보는 자가 되게 상기도 매우 레도 말이지 니바다 랑자 되게 어디서
So enlightened beings, Buddhas, spontaneously benefit sentient beings, even though they do not have, intentional thought, anything like that. And so they said, how is that possible? They said it's because, this spontaneity they have achieved is the fruition of a bodhisattvas, right, on the trainees, right, for eons, made all the prayers and practices, right, the power of that. So now the contender is saying like, well, come on, that was a long time ago. Bodhisattvas also died, and that's too long, right? So how can somebody who died a long time ago, and this is still a possibility? That now. So in response to that, so in stanza 36, we find an example. And the example is that of a Brahmin by the name of Shangu. And the Brahmin somehow through practice, accomplishment, consecrated and what we call accomplished Garuda, this mythical bird, reliquary stupa. And the power of this stupa is that anybody who got poisoned by snake bite or whatever. So by praying to the stupa, right, it will detoxify you, so to speak, right, clear. Okay, and so that worked when even the Brahmin was alive. But then Brahmin died many years ago. Still, the ridiculous stupa, right, has the same power, right, to do that. And because it is the Brahmin's dedication and like blessing, that this stupa, even though the Brahmin himself died a long time ago, it's still working. So like that, Bodhisattvas, they made tremendous prayers and they did everything for sentient beings. Now, as they become enlightened beings, the fruition happened, and because of all the prayers are coming true, so to speak, now, so they can spontaneously benefit sentient beings. What am I looking at? Did I miss anything? So, as Geshe said, that as an enlightened being, right, all the paths and practices you have gone through, the trainees, and so you finally become enlightened being. You actualize Dharmakaya, the truth body, isn't it? And you are free from the samsara on the one hand, and you are free from the solitary peace of nirvana on the other hand, isn't it? So therefore, you have achieved what we call non-abiding nirvana, right? The full enlightenment. So as an enlightened being, you don't have all these conceptual thoughts to do something, but regardless of that, you can spontaneously benefit sentient beings. And those are the examples given. Yes.
What is it? Gunu namdo toba mena ya any the Shinoshida or the pet there is no Chavsi Shudon River, Tokyo Shudon River, the Ganga Dunga Chavsi de Bear, Shin Lobbo, Deva Mondosana, the Shudo de Niva Ransa Diggers, or this is the thing. Some year number toba mena ya Shino Jin Shigmars, or that is Yego, that's Sanji Tumo Maiba. 상식이 개도시야 통마요 데려와 심지어 동시는 일도 가지 팬바를 놓다 얘는 뒤 동시 내가 시고 상식이 들으면 매매는 어디시야서 어디 빼드리스.
So in the stanzas 36 and 37, so we find the response which in the case of unenlightened beings, right, as ordinary being, if we want to help someone, first we have to set up the motivation. We have to have intention to help, right? Without intention, we are not going to be able to do that. But once you become enlightened being Buddhas, then that is an exclusive quality of enlightened being that without need for intention and thought, you can spontaneously benefit sentient beings. So that's the description there.
What did it do the gains you?
No.
Yele, Tenzin Dorjee, Sanjay Chavang Yavachu. Tea Seva maybe, Daba He Joy, He songs, or the Dodi Yele, Karsa. Tenzin Dorjee, Sanjay Zeva, and Sanjay Chavang Yavachu, called Sanjay, but you sometimes telling the chapters. Tea Seva maybe, Daba He Joy is the Shada. 성제 틀린데 누마지 딱 봐 인데스 거 말디 그 조야 메고 거기 있는 거 틀린 주고서 우콜데 딱 봐 나시 그래 조야 메고 요리서 어디 계세 다가지.
In the Sutra Alamkara, or ornament of sutras, Dodetian in Tibetan, so it's stated that an enlightened being's omniscient mind or enlightened being pervades all the three times, past, present, future. And enlightened being never dies, right? So it looks almost permanent. It's a perpetual existence there. And so that's how enlightened beings throughout the time, present, past, and present, spontaneously benefit sentient beings.
Nipanese, Simeso, Gamba, Gaden, Tele Nidu, they were Kajinari, Sanjay number Medobe, Sim number Tobe, Semeva, Tele Shiva Penis, Dagri Sheves, Toba Meve, Shedan Sonun Jes, dribu de deba jurke sanje te la tenje toba mejang mejang chua puale pyo nam sonum jongde juze khang se sanje ku ngus shugdu te la cheba am nyanga de su tembe juzu semme kudun cheba ni sonum soba nye de se shamba singi ngaru se doli shebi sheruwas chude kore penyo gyoza doli je kanji shula sheba dang nyangan dewe kudung la semne nyamba tati semne nyamba semne nyamba teba ye sonu la ni chebar me che sobi sheru tenyang sanje sheba dang tel sonum jowe tsudang tsuyang nye dwebatar tanya kunzu paam ne chu dwebatar ji de khona ki di rong di she der reshik rikbe jeba she ne rang duzu tumu mai ba dribala tanyam so she de zuya rong deya rong ti shebale ngobo da tembe dribu son labo she juane yi shebe long sumba yimbe rangja ni ke tumu de da de resu sheba us otire da de son dribu da pena semzaba meje de son dribu dribu kanga dendro isi ora sa teyo de demi de geshe madoji sonun juma de chikbari sesa sanje lon ka de sanje ngo shude sheba pibada kudung da shuden sheba pibadi sonun nyaba yong shashi ti sanza de sanje number to be da sheba pina sonun jongjo yeji meji sheba pa number to go ma ris wa de da.
So the next the argumentation is, they still contenders say that if Buddhas have no intention of benefiting or anything like that, then, how does it work that people worship Buddha, right? And Buddha has no intention to benefit you. So they continue with the same kind of argumentation there. And according to Chitta Martins, right, that when you pray to Buddha, you worship Buddha, you are going to accumulate merits. And they think these merits truly exist. They are truly existent. Whereas Prasangika says, yes, we agree, by respecting and worshiping Buddha, you accumulate merits, but merits are not truly existent, as you know. So that's the debate, again, between happenings. I think we will be looking at stanzas 38 and 39, somewhere there, right?
Oh, did you go, sir? Rigby Jeba Tanyazo Shani, Long Juba, no, Siri Shazal, Mujuda, Jose Gogur, Shindu Gogur, Somle, Jeba Somji, Jeba Somji, Shazal, Tobacona, never Toby Gushing, Sanje Chevalier, Sonu Jomotabuni, Shazani, Sumba Shindu Gogur in base, then the Rikbachang with Domini Bay. To talk about Yishebe, long now that then long Tsema Yishe Jeva talk about never to go with long driver to Sheva Yinde Namdele Sheva Kula Tenshu Ta Sunki Long de Kong She Shedam Nisumba Nipoana Tensu Lambert Day. Shesu Bishero, tell a long Samatan, long Samani, Tom Mijila, long Samat, the Yishi Jeva, Tom Chikte, Tenin, Shesu J, Tab long God, Taje, Lungrang Deja told the Milo, Toby Java, Dabu, Lung Samata, Jason J. Tabu Lung Shake de Tini, Hijin do de Tabu was that. Because the long trial, the guys and did daddy. The Saji goes children, that good things should they should. So the Congatell, Sodom Juma, the Deres, Sodom Dasa Juma said, the long mothers in the regret to Maris. But he on the Shane, and then the long time, long drive using things. So the Shazal is a you go, you should go to some shot, number they shall. So you was on the share. And Joseph Gogi said, the Gosa Ta going to Shin charge, and Shin Gogi said, and lonely the dog was. She says, Saji could show them to the share, tell us all the Jungori. So what is as the Ganga and lonely and Duari. She said, he on the shed that the long diet, you didn't think
so in the exhibit commentary, it stated that in this context, I think, in order to support the contention that when you worship Buddha in person, or Buddha's reliquary stupa after Buddha is gone, you will accumulate a lot of merit, right? And so that is established through citing, I think, sutras, something Nimutara Sutra, something like that, right? No, it was the Sangita, sorry. The line sound sutra, not something Nimutara. It is that one. And so scriptural authority is invoked here, right? And so as Geshe explained why that's the case. Generally speaking, when we talk about object of knowledge or comprehension, Gyeltsen, object of knowledge, Gyeltsen, object of comprehension is Gyeltsen. So it's a little, but anyway, come to the same thing. So let's not complicate it. So object of knowledge, they can be classified into three kinds. They are what we call ngunjur, manifest phenomena objects, right? These are more easily accessible. You don't need reasonings to access them, right? You can see, you can smell, touch, and all that. Okay? And then there are what we call kokjur, chungse kokjur, slightly hidden or concealed realities. So in order to really understand, access these realities, we have to use reasonings. So this is where the inferential valid cognition comes into play, right? Then there are extremely hidden, concealed phenomena reality, Shinto Kokjur. In order to access or understand them, we have to depend upon valid scriptural authority. Yeah? And so how much merit one is going to accumulate by worshiping Buddha, right? So that cannot be established through the usual reasonings. We just have to rely upon Buddha's own words, the scriptural authority. So this is where, often the related things will be, then we talk about, the lung sema, the authentic words or the valid words, right? Things like that. No.
What did that? Geshe Dorjee was Tabazam Juba Taba Doja, don't you talk about Juba? Juba said, Nipa Tabazam Tobe, the Taba Debeja, don't you talk about Juba Ni? Suba go at the healing of Tamboni Demba, so Kamba Yi then tell a short Namata Nare. Tandu Nanji, Mombara Yi Shune, Shebataji. Dembashi, Cheju, Rabe Meta, Judu Musu, Tonshin, Komba Shevali, Koal True, Dazutaba Juji, Chetaji Rashi, Trebe Tombe, Tombe, Tome, She Shadi, Government Shits, Tetrama, Shogame, Zuboni, Yinde, they were Kaji, Sanja Tawala, Tony, Tomogova, Masi. Chöyi dame ki mingzang yang ke milen par hidam shu da yin be chaba ke len jing chöyi dame to be tekjin ki do de kar ke milen par teda yin par se len ji ga so se tekje kar Kadrivejang, Hinula, Shala, Didawe, Tenzin Dorjee, Karan Dojing, Sangye Tobala, Tony Dogova, Shejang, Tawazam Tobala, Chui Dami Dog Gola, Tony Dogova, Shejang, Sangye Toba, Vala Tony Dogova, Shejang, Tabaza Tobala, Chui Dami Domugu, Dogova, Shava Meba, Kelembe, Rangjuba, Menji, more Tony Dobe, Lamdi, Tabaza Tobala, Medmeron. Trouble here, shown the Goba Yinos, till the Koja Tawa don't you dogs in 10 years ago. Roger Mizaka, Tabazam Tower, don't you dog was. Cause that I get a 0 tomato and 10 degrees or 10 language or 10 so that the 10 year 2 months here. Tomoko said, 2 you do the Isha, and take a round you self on Shagro. She said, oh, take our tea to the Tabazam Tobalaya and Tony Dog said, Droga, Juzero, what he is.
So the next, the topic of argumentation is Prasangika's claim or contend that even to achieve nirvana from samsara, one must realize emptiness. Yeah? And now other Buddhist schools of thought are taking issue with that. Yeah? And particularly the Vaibhashikas and Sautrantikas, and then the Chetamartins and the Savatandika Madhyamikans, right, the middle way school. And so for them, they said that they think we can see that realizing emptiness is essential for Buddhahood, perhaps you can tell. But to achieve nirvana from samsara, you don't have to realize emptiness, because they said it is enough to realize the selflessness of a self-sufficient and substantially existent person, right? Right? If you realize there is no such thing as self-sufficient, rangya, substantially existent self, right? Then you realize nirvana. So you don't need to realize emptiness. So that's their contention. But Prasangika say no, right? Whether it is nirvana or enlightenment, one must realize emptiness or you don't get there, right? So we will, I think, continue with this, next time. So we are on page 148 of the Stephen Batchelor's translation, and so we are looking at stanza 40 there. Okay, we will continue from there. So we now would like to welcome your questions and sure. Anything on the no? Okay, so then. It's our time.
No, I'm not going to take things too crazy. We talked about how is the Buddha going to benefit beings because the Buddha does not have conceptual thought and all that. And we did a lot of explanation just to, it seems to me, not simply say because of compassion. That's how the Buddha benefits people, compassion. Then I think that's probably a very complex conversation. How is compassion working?
Okay.
How is
is that part of the answer or not, right? Kind of
yeah, I mean, seems like we're dancing around, not saying that it's compassion, because then we got to go into what is compassion for a Buddha versus what we think for us is just like wishing people to not suffer. But I think for Buddha, it's something else altogether.
Okay, I like it, yeah. Morangi toksa ki chiwa di dirigin rwa ta tirin delia ane sangye sona ane karso namto mebe tone beme lundub ki shindun chetu la rwa gen tabe mangbo kwe yung rwa gen isi jino woda pasang shingla sa rwa gen ane dinde inezde dada mora samle de koson sa dane di len dige kang na ya ningji shenbo da ningji ko shig mu do sa rwa gen sangye ki shindun chetu de ningji ki rwa gen marabe sa da ningji shenbo di dina she yung mu de kare na sa rwa gen
Kadesi
Tanda the land in all again. Talk about maybe thorn nation, this Bemel who chetway, Ishin with the Basam Shin Nashi Rogan, top of Comat La Roa. The kindness and action just make Malama was captured and did two many chevrolet La Roga. In a land in all Namjing on the better, shared the English vocation with La Share Roga. Ninja Tungum do the Karichev Nasa, Ninja the Lang Kundor and Mares or again. Shendi Bemel who drag.
What is it? Tata the curse this go. So the Sanji is Namdo, this year, this year's Namdo Yomers, in some of the time, they have sort of shadows. She don't see to was the third.
No.
It's a way that Namdo men, she don't see to was the Otipe Delta, and then she knows the good share. But Sanji, she don't receive a Gaden, she receive a Gaden, and she don't see it English about Jerusalem, your Dogoro. And that is Namdo men, she don't see to one louder. But the Namdo men, she don't see the back here. She doesn't see
Right. The reason why the compassion is not invoked in this particular case, because the question is, the opponents are saying, how can you say that Buddha has no intention, no thought, but yet benefits sentient beings spontaneously? That's not possible, right? So then all these examples are given: wish-fulfilling tree, wish-fulfilling jewel, everything, right? They're object, they have no mind. They do. And now the compassion becomes relevant if we say, like, why Buddha, right, couldn't not do anything for sentient being? Why is not Buddha, right? Then this is because of the compassion, right? Compassion doesn't let him sit idly. So right now the question is not about that. So it's about right.
When somebody has a realization of union of karma binding, especially insight, enters the path of preparation, do conventionalities appear at that moment? Conventionalities, do they appear? Is there appearance of convention, or all conventionalities have vanished?
Okay.
There are still dualistic appearances. We heard that, but what about the appearance of only those kinds of conventionalities that appear to the senses?
Okay, right. So not necessarily in the meditative state, right? Just
during the union of karma binding, especially.
Sure, right. Quran condition did it. That again, and Jolam Chur Ledukalia, Shila Sungde Gita, Komjungi Roage, Shila Sungde Gi, Chene, that Tony. That Kalakan Yakotogo Roage, Ine Tanda Nina Yorla Roage, Kokarso Chene Yajanina Segu Roa, Sidukalia, Jolam, Shilas and the things that Tom Yamsha Chimby in Roage, then Yamsha and Walia and Chitang and the dependent Rira Kangin in the control of Nangi or Karchigoresa, that's Nina Yorda Roa, in that Rira Kangin, the Kadin Raji Shamba Roage, did Nangi or Nangi or Marissa, good of it.
Don't
you don't again Yamsha Chimby in Roage, Jolaba Yamsha do the Kala and the Kunzo which should did Nangi Nangi or Marissa.
I did it, good show that Tonsi to Nangora, good show no was in a division.
No. Tamana that Jolam Chur is again the Combadina day in the Roage, that Jolam Chur Yamsha Sure Roage, and the gains how much that they get out to Nanti or
Don't you call it Tonsi Nangora? You just so they didn't know.
The Tony Ben again, Pumbeting Tony in a Pumba the Nanti or Tony Pumbe
Tonsi.
Pubakunagimar.
Pubakora, Tonsi, Puba now is a busy cigarette, Mary. Pumbe Tonsi, sorry, no. Don't you Tonsi the Nangora? Pumba said, Desires as you are.
Malo.
Or the Chagora, the Toba Tonsi now, you know, you did. But you do you say about those Tata, but James or the Shara Yamara.
No. Yeah, Geshe says when such a yogi of on the path of preparation with the union of karma binding and special insight, they have a dualist appearance in the sense that emptiness they're meditating on, so they have what we call the generic image of the emptiness. That's the dualism. They couldn't really access the emptiness directly. That's the issue. But it's not like, because I make it like so kind of too obvious, like if I am that meditator right here, emptiness, do I see all of you here? That's that, right? He said, no, it's just the emptiness generic image. That's the dualism, that's the conventional, yeah.
Yeah, but this is only one conventional phenomenon. What about conventionalities? So dualistic appearance, I think there are three types of dualistic appearance. Subject and object appearing, the image, conceptual image of the object appearing, as well as conventionalities, and I understand conventionalities to refer. So that's why I'm interested in that particular aspect of dualistic appearance. Do they?
Kurangi nina gi kandi shue de yin sa nina la dama de shego ro ge yu yu jin jiang zhe na ba na wa ro ge da tun jin na ba na wa ro ge kun zhe be che ge na wa ro wa wo de kun zhe bu che ge na wa yo ma de sa tun jin na de kun zhe bu che ge na wa yo
kun zhe bu che na ye se na de ge da to zhe na go ro
tun ji kun zhe bu de ro ge
la
tun ji kun zhe bu de kun zhe ro ge
to zhe zhe lo
tong ji ge tun ji de ge kun zhe bu che ra de ma re
la
동이 그 던지의 군적을 쳐야 돼요. 군적 군적나 던지 나스람 되고 그러게. 다 경제 나 숨잖아 돼요.
예, 다 군적 나서나 그지 군적 나서 던지 나고 다 지도 군적 나서 되지.
제대로 나와 숨자 유행 거지 말하게. 유진 경제 나면 나와지지.
다 유 경제는 어디서 던지 나야 다른 경제 나와서. 그래서 던지 만나나 유대 유지를 배 제가 이 사고로 어디 사고로
제가 네 단다 졸람 딜라야 긴 유제 경제 나면 나와지. 그래서 던지 나면 나와지. 그래서 군자 나면 나와 숨자요. Because I'm just trying to make sure that everything is included, right? Actually, in this case, Geshe thinks that all the three types of dualism you mentioned are there, right? The first one is because it has not yet directly recognized emptiness, right? There is that subject-object dualism, and that generic image of emptiness, right? That's dualism, and that generic image itself is a conventionality. Yeah, right.
What about the conventional?
What? Right, that's why I asked before. He said, right. Right. 자자게 최상박 디즈나기 말해서 고란데 쪽세를 쉬어베는 검장 쪽세도 순난 거 나게 말해서 졸라마들라.
저도 그러다 너사도 통신에서 돈이 통신에서 뭐도 최저 그런 나라고 말다.
No. Yeah, not all these other objects. Let's say if there's table in front of you, right, for that practitioner, not appearance like that. It's only thinking about emptiness. There's a generic image of emptiness, right? And not appearance of all other things.
So there will be a generic image of emptiness, which is like a vacuity, and nothing else will appear. Everything disappears.
Right. That's again, that's right. Yeah, vacuity. Yeah.
Well, indeed, there is a section there that Geshe talked about how on the Mahayana practitioners who have acute mental faculties on the path of accumulation connection, they realize emptiness through inference, okay, and says that this thought has two aspects. The appearance, Geshe didn't explain that. It's in the commentary that he's reading. There's an appearance aspect and a certainty aspect. And during the appearance aspect, duality, that's kind of complicated, especially because the translation is different from what we are used to. But duality has not yet been eliminated, okay, the appearance aspect. But then there is, during the certainty aspect, maybe I should read the whole thing, should I?
I asked him to...
Really? Yeah. Okay. To realize such emptiness through its general meaning means that the emptiness manifests in the appearance aspect and through inference, like we're talking about realization through inference, manifests. So earlier, first it manifests in the appearance aspect of the thought, conceptual thought. That's what I understand to mean, or generic image of the thought of emptiness. This is called the general idea of emptiness and refers to relative truth, because in the appearance aspect, duality has not yet been eliminated. It's relative truth, even though we're thinking about emptiness, but it's a conceptual image of it, so it's a relative truth, conventionality. When emptiness manifests in the certainty aspect of the thought, this is the authentic emptiness, the absolute truth. So so the certainty aspect. We're still on the path of preparation, or even accumulation, maybe even before that. Yeah, and nevertheless, it's authentic emptiness. And in the certainty aspect of the thought, all concepts of reality are completely stilled. So we have no concepts about reality. It is said that to realize even the general idea of emptiness in such a way is a true realization of emptiness. what is the meaning of all that?
Right.
What is the certainty aspect?
Oh,
So the certainty aspect, my understanding is it's attained on the path of preparation, or even before that.
It
the,
is what?
The certainty aspect, it's attained on the path
Attained,
of on the path of preparation, even before that. So these two aspects that they're talking about,
sure. Right.
appearance aspect and certainty. So
Right.
certainty is some kind. When you achieve the certainty, that has the power to stilling all conceptual elaboration.
Okay, let me try, right? If my thing work, if not, I might have to open this book, right? It's there. Right, it's there, right. Quran ki kandishu di ki deshe de na yusa rawage. Quran the inji deshe de ko lo yung do wa. King di deshe na yube di chazam ma sum do wage. Ja Quran tokti deshe do da nge ki shuna king sigi me kas de men king chabi sing ma rawage. Ta na jolam ba ki rawage. Da wongbu nobu sa rawage. Then tongni la ma she de kan la da ni na da de de yuba rawage. Ko di to ina deli ya khasor ke di shig do sa namba la ke tongni to ngengo sa rawage.
나
ngengo tongni ngebe ngengo
ngengo
da na wa de shig rawage de na ngengo sa je sa ngengo sa rawage what did But the Nyango said the Karalagosa again, the Geshe Maroge, Nango said the Roge, Tony to Nyango said Karishe the Gores are Roge. Nangwala that when Nina you're the Tony Tata, the Noyo Maroge, in the Nyangolia, any Karsore, Tony Tata, so those things, the Nyango said the Karis can't be chopping the surrender again.
돈이 거는 시험다 요 말이지. 더 노를 요시고로.
나네.
미리
또이도 딱다 너들 거 노요 말와.
요. 너는 편도 봐라.
right so ngengo de tanda gen kap de ya karso nina gle de yo marwa ngengo
왜는 도시다. 분바다 왜 미지를 왜 그 또야 똑장 딩마 분바다 해가라.
la ruwa
동시에 해가 말아.
la ruwa
어디서
la
그 똑장 딩마 들 이용하세요.
ala phumba to ba ke to jang ma de phumba so to ko nge ba re
아니 그 동신 난 거지. 동신 그 이용하려고 말이고. 동신 나가지 말기. 또 하세요 말아.
la de de ngengo de ya nina gle ba sugar ma re
이용하라 다니는 거리와 이용을
pena phumji to ba ke phumba to de phumba ko ta to de ro ge ta ko di na ba chal chui de ma do chi di chuna de ke phumba ta ta ma mi se to go ma ro ge
이용을 니는 매서는 되게
ro ge I think we're getting there. I think my word really worked, I think. So this is the case where the certainty aspect is the actual, that realization emptiness itself, not the appearance part, the inside part, let's say, right? Maybe this example might work as Geshe gave. So when we think about, let's say, inferential cognition of a vase, right? The vase is the object. So this inferential cognition of a vase, it's mistaken with regard to its appearance, isn't it? Right? Because it's dealing with a generic image. But in terms of ascertainment, certainty, it is really getting the vase right, isn't it? It's never wrong. So Geshe thinks, as I was trying to push him, these things, in terms of that certainty, ascertainment, there is no dualism. It really sees it, right? Okay, so hopefully that's clear. Yeah, thank you. Say it again.
Did he see that in the commentary?
Right. Can take it this tagi can the deshe sig in the kalanga tanda shivan is ngengo da nango ke the deshe can sig so as again.
알레.
Can dinner.
제도 니는 단단 메시 이용하다 나온 것이 니는 제발
Yes, sir. Quick.
이용하다 나오니 요야.
Right. Some of the quite long the quick begin the again the jury again. Dinner jury sarwa.
알레.
You did the years again the tagi sig in a minute.
알레.
Right. Geshe doesn't recall whether he saw that, but he said in reality that's what it is, right? Yeah. I said you have a translation of that, so it must be there. Right. Yeah.
It's very old.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
Before I ask my question, may I offer a thought to Vladimir about his question?
Sure.
So there's a saying, the finger pointing at the moon is not the moon.
Right.
So the certainty is the actual experience of emptiness where you are completely devoid of any experience, of any concept or thought of, because we talk about emptiness, but that's still a thought or a concept of emptiness and it's not the actual thing. And until you actually get to that experience of emptiness, then it's still, there's still a dualism there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. As a communication
Or tell me
scholar-
if I'm wrong.
No, it's fine. Yeah, that's true. As a communication scholar, I use the word, the map is not the real territory. It's just right,
yeah.
that same thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Translate that.
Huh?
So he's saying that the certainty,
Huh.
the appearance refers to the finger pointing at the moon,
Uh-huh.
but the certainty is when you realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Certainty is the real experience of emptiness, right? But the other one is more like finger pointing, right? The dualism finger pointing, right. Ada Quran ki the pesha go qual disi ja roage. Kore kodan chebe ina tanda nganzo the nango da ngengo se roage. Ngengo se di ta ngo speak to de che roage. Pena ngal dawara che ne dawa ko ngo sto de roage. Ta dagi di ni na se de ko zuguzun dawas de pike yola roage. O di sur de shas loves one lat mil. Di o di pe di go versa ge.
Re da jangje de si da kangje yu da yu je yi ko
Ngengo di
ning
ngengo di ke dawa to de roage. Ta ine ko dawa de mil lab go sa pike son zugu de go roage. Ine zugu ti dawa maro ro su sa roage. O di pe di go na man ke. Pe di dawa said kare sana pige zugo ma zugo la ta den dig mar zug pige roage. Dawa ma ne roage. Di sort ngengo se de dawa ran de mo shima de roage. Yeah, so certainty we can take in terms of that actual experience of whatever that is, right? In this case, moon, right? Yeah.
Or the concept.
Yeah, the concept. In this case, right? That's true. In this time, yes, concept, right? Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so my question has to do with the Buddhas or enlightened beings, and the not so much with how they could benefit sentient beings, but because I think that I think is up to the desire of the sentient beings, the same way wish fulfilling jewel, or even in Christianity, when Jesus performed miracles and healed people,
Right.
he didn't, they would say, "Thank you for healing me,"
Right.
but he didn't say, "I did it." He said, "But through your faith you have been healed," right?
Yes.
Yes. But my question about the Buddhas and enlightened beings is, if there is no more personality there, no more concept of personality there, they have completely realized emptiness, and so there is no dualism there, there's no personality there, there's no conceptual thought there. They go about teaching and speaking and doing things.
Right.
Where is that volition coming from? And so then I guess a bigger question does conventional reality, all of this motion and phenomena and everything, even as empty as it is there some one big volition driving all of this? And I mean, where is the volition coming from that forms the words and causes the body to speak the words coming out of the body of a Buddha
Sure.
when there's nobody home?
Okay. All right, I will ask that. Quran kune shwe de diri shaken ta tagi ta sang ye sadu kan liya ane namdo me beton be me lundu ge simjen ten chigi or la roage ta dela ko toba ke me sa roage ine Quran thiba de diri shaken ta sang ye sabe shudu kan liya ane kaso da ta tu ta do ge ni na me ba roage nu sum de sik de res
no sigo ma
la
상예 사 니나 누야 요 마.
ni na me ba chi
니나 요래.
ni na yor ba
냠시 니나 요 상예 사 니나 요래. 니나 사 군소 너 이미 지고 상예 그 대인 직자 도 오라.
제대 ni na yor ma ba
이 상예 사 니나 요래.
다 다디 건조 추고
니나
다
매워서 동이 지고 니나 매워서 오라. 군소 너 다다 니나 사 대인도 나와다 군소 너 니 저기 오라. 상예 군소 쳐는 거라.
라르바 아디 ni na ma 르베
니나래 니나.
알레
상예 사 니나 누야 요 말이.
알레 노스 아니 단다 코란 스디 갈다 산제 베나 냠사 인 바찬나 로와게 뒤다다 냠바 샤도 이나 로와게
말이.
냠사 인 베이나 아니 산제 기 야페 마페 추숨 밀 데바치 치고 로와사게 엔 디게 사마론 제 그런 라버스 게 메나로 와게 데 컨디션 용어 되고 그래서 데 밀게 시고 최송고 파페로 와게 그런 매버ton 디가 사마 컨디션 되고 이나서
제가 데 메일랜드 세 데다 타기 노버저 집에 사실 그게 심진들 쇼디시 대시고서 또 받아요 말디 신나 그 커져 수 가르치고 있는데 가도 송도야지 그래서는 자기 잠시 가서 여기 엔데 도고야 그때 그래서 네 가르치는 저니 저도 잠시 신이 로케바 모더서는 뒤야 로샤하게 도세야 누바들 혼자 되어지
no this no the Quran this what again benada sanje ya phe ko ma phe ko chö song sam chigo ro ge kulo me beton ro ge ti kande singo res enta sanje lo ko ro singo ro ge shela chö ko ga ni ti Quran be me lu du bin go nga khala sa ko sam sam de yo ma ro ge ta shela chö go ro shela ko rangsin du bin go gang ga lo chi khar so lu du cha ro
제가 차이도 없이 가 들이대도 될 대시고서 진짜 차이지야 고 말이죠. 다 거기 도다.
다 디게 다 강가로 이제 투지 신부 공백이다 뉴바를 랍신 되고 나게
맞아. 투지 신부에 다 로lum까지 배 파주도가 다 친사라. 어디 되게 잠색이 된게 도시야게 주야도 직발해 봐.
So Geshe La's response is going back to again it's the exclusive power enlightened being for being so spontaneous. Everything is happening, right? There's no need for volition or intention. That Buddha is walking everybody. He's not like, oh, I'm going to walk there and meet this person, right? It just is interacting with beings at the time, right? His time and the teaching and everything. He's eating, but it's all spontaneous. It's not such planning. It's like, okay, now I'll have to stop for the lunch break now or anything like that, you know? So the example is going back to that Brahmin Shangu, right, with his power of the reliquary stupa. Even after he died, that stupa spontaneously, right, helped people to deal with poisoned issues, you know. So that's what Geshe was saying, you know. Yeah.
And the I don't know how to word this question. So I understand the spontaneous, the Buddha is just in the flow.
Right. He said it is a power of how Buddha has, like, for even practice and accomplish all the 6 perfections, right? From generosity to the wisdom, right?
Right.
Everything, right? There is nothing impediment left. So it's completely enlightened. So because of the culmination of all of these things, the spontaneity is happening.
Okay, so there is action without volition or without
Right.
willpower.
It's a result of all this hard work for however long it took to become a Buddha. Right.
Okay.
Right. And which will be the case with any Buddha, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still am not sure I'm grasping it, but I'm
Right.
going to meditate on this.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we
Tenzin,
have to stop there today. We have so many announcements and prayers, right? And again, first I'll tell Geshe La, I always forget. So we will stop there. Then again, who? You have a question? Oh, yeah, ask me. The invisible people get the preference.
I mean, it's kind of similar to what he was asking. I mean, how does a Buddha perceive individual sentient beings who are in need of compassion, if not conceptually or conventionally? So yeah, that's his question.
What's the question again?
Sorry.
I didn't get it.
How does a Buddha perceive individual sentient beings who are in need of compassion, if not conceptually or conventionally?
How does Buddha
Perceive.
I'm still not hearing. What is it? Anybody? Buddha has compassion. Nobody said Buddha has no compassion, right? Oh, perceptual. Oh, Buddha has. Oh, conceptual. Okay. So if Buddha has no conceptual, then
So how does a Buddha perceive individual sentient beings who are in need of compassion, if not by conception or conventionally?
Oh, okay. Yeah. That is good. Jivade rangzare ke khwedi dabrowa. Sanje alaya ane kasata tokpa yamarwage. Namdo mena en semjen diela khoko didu rowa dir rowa di chego do dir seche rowage. Adinde khandes khinge yoresa ko namdo yamar midela ko koe didu samgorwage. Di mere and di mere rowa chede di khandes singores oda.
대체 무슨 맥다디 남도 가야 뭐 맥 가리네 이 가리다가 통으로 직발 무슨 통으로
Right. So as we said, the Buddha's spontaneity, right, at our level is a little hard to grasp. It's just like how our visual perception see things, right? But the visual perception doesn't think like, oh, I'm seeing. Western perception has no conceptual thing like, I'm seeing beautiful, I'm not seeing beautiful, right? Nothing. It just sees it. So Buddha's whole perception is like that, very non-conceptual and direct, you know. That's why he can directly see the needs of the sentient beings, right? That's what it is. Okay. Any other question there? No, okay. So I have to request Geshe and monks first. Can you share the name again? 당고 세라디 진짜 시베나리아 접지 송음지데 전다선 피기도 와게 진짜 개변나 공다 진짜 개변나
알레.
안 송음지 전다선 페네 전다 당볼이야 데네 대조당 년조매기 왕의 실랍체 안 티데스는 거서와 전다 니바 숨발이야 년조마기 리루치도 와게 어디고데 세라 쇼고도 와게
알레.
다 데네 겸주슈에 데리야 아 센데 Train ngok len roage sela devil kamju naronas da na si sende Brian McKenzie lo shipjul thong do wa ta ga na si chik da thong do go Sally and Michelle roage ta ga na si any that said the demba any Alicia Louis ta ga na si 가장 아주 긴디베서 실라 시비지 않서 roage 디 셀라자게 민홍자 웅킴풍자와 디게 들리야 좀 나로나사게 that so okay. So first very vital announcement, and the details will be on the website, so don't ask me the details, right? I'm just a reporter here. His Eminence Song Rinpoche will be here in August from 4th to 26th. 3 weeks program. The first week he will give Hiruka Chakrasamvara Abhishek empowerment, and then the Vajrayogini blessing and a little bit of a commentary. And the next 2 weeks he will be leading a Vajrayogini retreat. Okay? And my understanding is that we can only accommodate 50 people, 50, okay, 50. It's going to be here. And so all the details will be posted on the GSTDL website. Okay, so we are just giving ahead of you. Okay, that. Now I have a prayer request for deceased. Mrs. Tren Ngoc Len passed away. Brian McKenzie passed away. And Sally Ann Michelle is passing away. And then prayers for those who are living for their health and success. For Alicia Louise, and then for Ming Hung, Wung Kim Fung, Lee Ming Hung, Wung Kim Fung, who offered 200 egg rolls to the monks. Okay. So dedication of their marriage. So we will do the Avalokiteshvara and the Medicine Buddha. Yeah. Right. So our director, Laramba Geshe Chamba, says that be a little patient is the way to go. As they're working on a website for registration, that'll take a couple of days. So by next week it will be up there, and then we can register for that. Okay. So don't knock on the door right after the teaching or something. That's my footnote. And so let's do the Avalokiteshvara prayer. So you have, yeah. Chadong Golun Gyuben Gyabo Don Jendong Gyawa Sangbu Sangye Dong Kangla Kangde Dela Tetum Zumba Jenre Sela Chanze Do Om Mani Peme Hum Omane beme hori gawa di nyodo da jenre sewan rubjonen dowa chigya malu di salam ge barasho medicine Buddha. Toje gunla nyombe jomden de senzang tebe ngendu donge se dozon ne se sangye me Bindur yaye vela chaze lo te ta bekaze ma bekaze ranza samuga de so Teyada bekaze ma bekaze ranza samuga de so han gawa de nyodo da membe gewo dojo dowa jija ma leba de salam ge barasho. Another announcement I have to make is next week we will not have teaching. Most of our monks are going to the Great Molam Festival up north in the Richmond City Convention Center there. Last week it was done by the USA Tibetan Great Molam Festival at Minnesota, before that in New York. So this is California version. So we will not have a teaching here. Okay, next Sunday. Tunda shungma de ke Molam so zang azu sungju me ba ke ya pedulwa. Lode jiazi yudong beka den gesang pongwe chudong menba xin tenpa zinla wangdo yichi zhangnian chukun chula so wang de ma wang dame gunjian donga de gangri zhongso nianda senze zhanggen jiawa niewa yapse je zhangson tenzi ma we shiba Tenzin Dorjee, Yingguan Zebe, Xie Nigun Changzhu, Dendu, Longdo Tamzhe, Beiwe, Beiyun, Luza Jiazi, Gundo, Shabde, Tesang, Gongdang, Xie Zombe, Yongzhou, Yure, Tobe, Nyak, Longri, Dejin, Nube, Bedenba, Tobden, Kangri, Tabo, Shabde, Dona, Kongmen, Zeba, Namda, Dendang, Rove, Pende, Jove, Lundo Jume, Chebe, Tenle, Gesang Dorjee, Chize Lame, Toje, Molamda, Gesang Dorjee, Chidon Domba Ye, Jeda, Memben Dungu, Lundo Sho, Ranja Shinge, Gombo, Seba Men, Zodo Namje, Geyun, Doma, Chozo, Zeye, Lazo, Tamje, Dade, Mishi, Choge, Tubden Jedang Los Jawa Ye Shiro Tenban Zenbe Beiyu Tade Deja Yongwe Yishe No Yangde Ninje Jinde Sumgwe Chana Beme Jo Tenbe Azawa Soso Tawa Namda Sudin Yangda Langba Ye Losan Yeden Bedo Shabde Tujo Yajen Nonze Yangbe Jin Namje Jumbe Gomjon Shila Songjon Debe Tembe Ngada Chenbo Shabden Sho Chebe Dongwan Gowa Bojo Zembe Dunden Leshe Langjo Jo Kedo Shenyin Chenbo Shabden Kebe Langdo Guche Zeda Zembe Chara Niezo Rangsa Sangbe Dije Rego Yishen No Somden Shenyin Chenbo Tesang Zhulang Zhewe Dende Je Menjuang Tajue Zangme Sije Labjen Zidin Dende Beshawe Zenden Shenyin Chenbo Shabden Shozong Jiawa Sije Jela Da Toden Tamjen Songme Sona Daja Lasang Dabe Denbe 제다 멤베 둥고 른도 쇼 창조 심조 림보제 마제 바나 예 개와 냥바 매바 양 원에 원 배와 쇼 동니 다와 림보제 마제 바나 개와 냥바 매바 원에 원도 배와 쇼 사시 베제 조시 매도장 日了临些年的烟巴的上界行多没得为我，中国南大行了这把说，抗日热为国为新港说，平常的话马路中为，今日是我定金，下月7点8度定就节一当古如热那满点。 你养大要命，要我更多养大老马当对面吃也白了，老子杀到南街远的，让做人多些常给我把牛多修。